Welcome everybody to a look at a brand new 4K limited edition release with a steelbook no less, and it is 1953's It Came from Outer Space, which has been given a really rather nice box going for it. But thankfully that is not just all this has going for it as well in terms of physical extras. So this is directed by Jack Arnold, who did a whole host of sci-fi films during the 50s. Some considered classics, some not so, but I enjoyed all of them regardless. So he also did the likes of Creature from the Black Lagoon, Revenge of the Creature, which is the first sequel to that aforementioned film, as well as The Incredible Shrinking Man, Tarantula, Monster on the Campus, and The Space Children. And this is a science fiction horror film, clocking in at only 80 minutes long. Stars Richard Carlson, who was also in Creature from the Black Lagoon, as well as The Valley of Gwangi, the Cowboys versus Dinosaurs film, as well as The Ghostbreakers and The Magnetic Monster. Also stars Barbara Rush, who was in the likes of Magnificent Obsession, When Worlds Collide, and Death Car on the Freeway. And finally, Charles Drake, who was in All That Heaven Allows, The Swimmer, and The Price of Fear. So really good cast in terms of those three. And it's about an author and amateur astronomer called John Putnam, Putnam, and school teacher Ellen Fields, who witness an enormous meteorite come down near a small town in Arizona. But Putnam becomes a local object of scorn when, after examining the object up close, he announces that it is a spacecraft and that it is inhabited. So, with this getting a 4K release, I certainly found myself enjoying this a lot more than I did in previous watches. And this is no doubt due to me gaining a greater appreciation of the sci-fi horror genre kind of films from the 1950s. As I have gradually come to like them more and more. The cast is also good. The pacing is great. The production holds up. It is engrossing throughout. Has some reasonable thematic depth. It is well shot, and the score is a nice mix of both the orchestral and electronic with the use of a theremin. So and the 4K itself, on the most part, looks great. There is just one scene with falling boulders coming down where you can still see some of the 3D effects. Now, I'm not sure why. Maybe the original print of the film still had those 3D effects in them, but you can still see some of the colorization coming off those boulders as it comes down. But it's only during that one scene. It's about a minute, if that. And everything else about this film looks great. It's still got the film grain, crucially. It's not been smoothed out or anything like that. And it just looks a that little bit clearer and a little bit sharper as well on top of that. So not only in terms of the box, not only do we get a box with this, which is nice and hard, which is the way that these boxes should be instead of flimsy and useless. It looks really nicely done. It's got a nice, coating to it. Then you got that on the rear, which technically doesn't happen in the film, but whatever. Quite frankly, I'm not really bothered. It still looks cool. Then you get a really nice steelbook with two different versions of the poster as well. I really like that. It's nice and shiny, as you can see. And then you get a recreation of one of the film posters that it had. It's only really minus the 3D aspect to this film, because this was one of the first sci-fi films from the 50s. I'm pretty sure it might well have been the first sci-fi film from the 50s to come in 3D. Like I said, you can only see one of those 3D effects on one scene, so it's not too much of an issue. And then you've got the disc itself. Only comes on in the 4K disc. This did have a Blu-ray a few years ago, which I still do have, but I'm not too fussed about it not having a Blu-ray with it, because at the end of the day, it's the 4K that looks the best. So and you've also got another poster on the back behind the disc there. So plenty of artwork going for this. And on top of all that, we have a booklet, which again is nicely done. It's got the artwork that's on the back of the box, and then you got a tagline there: "The night that the Earth will never forget." And in this booklet you've got a write-up by Tom Weaver, who is a science fiction / horror movie expert. It's only a short thing. It's only the one page, but it's nice to have something going for this outside of the usual, which is a lot of on-set photos. So which is always a nice little thing, because it just gets a bit of the look of the film get a vibe for it if you've never seen it before. Spoilers, but that's the creature. That's the ship coming in looking like a meteorite. And yeah, then you also get a whole host of different kinds of posters, which more show off the whole 3D aspect that the film was going for. So it's on about like three-dimensional and the like, which is always cool to look at. Then we won't go through every page of this, but we also have out of this world promotion. So as you can see, there's a shot from the of the film being shown at RKO Hill Street. Yeah, doesn't have a seemingly have, oh yeah, plus Nat King Cole and Russ Morgan Orchestra. So Nat King Cole himself being at a screening of this film. And then we got a bunch of the promotional material. So yeah, there's someone dressed up as one of the creatures. No idea where they had all of this promotional material. I imagine Universal themselves have had it in their vaults for a very long time. And there's them promoting it on the back of it, on the side of a helicopter, and there we go, we're having some people promoting it with a sign. So yeah, all very nicely done. It's always interesting to have all of this history still being, you know, preserved and shown, which is no bad thing whatsoever. And then you got a little bit of a write-up at the back from the producer of this film, who's called William Allard. There he is. So a little bit of a write-up there as well. So yeah, but we also get art cards as well, which again have more versions of the poster technically. They all have like a space theme on the back of them. They don't link up or anything like that to show off a bigger picture or anything, but yeah, you have, they're really nicely done, really nice on nice card and really printed rather nicely. They got no imperfections or anything like that. I like that one. I like the simplicity of that one. Granted, they don't actually go to the moon. In fact, they don't go to another planet at all, but that's still nicely done. And then this one shows off again the three-dimensional whole aspect of the film that, yeah, was a big part of the promotion of the film itself. So yeah, really cool. And finally, we get a film cell replica of all things, which can actually be stood up. So yeah, I hope you can actually see that. Put my hand behind it. I hope you can actually, something a bit darker than my hand. So yeah, which is really nice to have. Obviously, it's not the actual film; it is a replica at the end of the day, but still, that is nicely done. And you can also stand it up, as you can see by this. So you pull these out, and you can stand it up as you wish. But yeah, just that on its own is a really nice little extra. So yeah, overall a fantastic release. Not cheap by any means. It was £45, which is obviously quite a lot for a film at the end of the day that is only 80 minutes long, but still, it's a film I really rather enjoy. I enjoyed it in the past, but I've enjoyed it even more upon rewatching it on this 4K release. And yeah, it's just really interesting that Universal of all studios have given this the go-ahead, because this isn't via a boutique label. It's not by HMV or any other, you know, brick and mortar store or anything like that. It is from Universal themselves. So yeah, and to put a cap on this, Warner Brothers is releasing a Schindler's List version on 4K. Now, I think that film has already had a 4K release in the past, unlike this film, but they're giving that film the exact same treatment as this. So it's got a film cell replica, it's got a steelbook, it's got a hard box. I imagine it's got a booklet in it as well. And yeah, that's from Warner Brothers. So it's a bit weird and a bit coincidental that Universal and Warner Brothers have come out with the same kind of, you know, editions, but for different films, and two films that are celebrating their anniversary, because Schindler's List is celebrating its 30th and this is celebrating its 70th. So yeah, hopefully it's a good sign of things to come, that these big studios are going to release these kind of films on 4K, on Blu-ray, regardless, as long as they never had a you know, a release before, or I've been needing a update to get these films out there on physical formats, because yeah, we don't have a great deal of 50s sci-fi horror efforts on Blu-ray or 4K, to be honest. there's very limited amounts, and even though there have been an increase in those kind of films getting a physical release, in fact we've had War of the Worlds on 4K this year as well. There's still plenty out there that have yet to even have a Blu-ray. So yeah, hopefully that's a sign of things to come. If you've seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But if you haven't, and you're into these kind of films, you know, these kind of sci-fi horror films that aren't the most expensive films out there, but they are enjoyable and they are well paced and they're quick at getting in and out, then yeah, you should hopefully enjoy it. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.